Welcome to LinesToGo installation videos. Today we will be replacing fuel lines on a 1999 GMC Sierra extended cab standard box, FL488-L. While this particular installation is being performed on a 99 GMC Sierra extended cab standard box, this set of lines will also fit the following year, make, and models as shown in your screen now. LinesToGo lines are made using original equipment end forms and fittings that are CNC bent for an easy and precise installation. We have also upgraded to stainless steel braided Teflon hoses for rust protection and to prevent surface fouling. These have an unlimited shelf life and anti-static PTFE liner. This set of LinesToGo lines are made from G2 Galfan coated steel tubing for rust resistance that exceeds OEM standards. Tech tip: disconnect the battery before working on a vehicle to reduce the risk of shorting out the battery on tools or lines. LinesToGo lines are made with a sectional design for easier installation. We also use color-coded unions on our sectioned lines. Just match the colors of the connections. Make sure to depressurize the fuel system before starting the installation. Tools required: 8mm, 11mm, and 13mm sockets and ratchet, 5/16, 13/16, 16mm and 19mm wrenches, pliers and cutting pliers, pry bar or flat blade screwdriver, LinesToGo disconnect tool part number 5230-01, drain pan, jack and jack stands. The level of difficulty for this installation is considered to be easy. To depressurize the fuel system, locate the fuel pump fuse using your owner's manual and remove it. Start the vehicle and wait for the engine to stall. Make sure to replace the fuse once completed. Use a 5/16 of an inch wrench to disconnect the negative battery terminal. Remove the plastic engine cover using an 8mm socket to remove the two bolts that secure it. Remove the metal locking clips from the fuel line connections at the engine and disconnect the two quick connect fittings using a fuel line disconnect tool, LinesToGo part number 5230-01. At the front of the engine, remove the plastic quick connect fitting at the purge valve and remove the nylon vent line from underneath the wiring harness and the fuel rail. Remove the three quick connect fittings from the charcoal canister by depressing the plastic tabs. Use a 13mm socket to remove the bolt that secures the charcoal canister and remove the canister by pulling it towards the center of the vehicle. Disconnect the three rear fuel line quick connect fittings by depressing the two plastic tabs. Use a 13mm socket to remove the three bolts that secure the ABS module to the frame. Being able to move the ABS module will allow you to route the fuel lines behind the module. Use a 13mm socket to remove the two nuts that secure the fuel filter bracket to the frame. Remove the fuel lines from the plastic clips along the frame. Remove the two lines secured into the rear of the fuel filter bracket. Cut the supply line at the fuel filter using a pair of cutting pliers or remove the threaded fitting. Remove the fuel filter bracket along with the rear section of the supply line. Use a pair of cutting pliers to cut the three fuel lines at the flexible section beside the transmission. Remove the rear section of the fuel lines from the plastic bracket near the flexible section. Remove the rear section of fuel lines from the vehicle. Use an 11mm socket to remove the 4 bolts that secure the front of the front drive shaft. Slide the front of the drive shaft over the top of the front axle. Remove the slip joint from the transfer case using a flat blade screwdriver to work the rubber boot off of the output shaft. Remove the front drive shaft from the vehicle. Disconnect the shift linkage from the transfer case. Remove the fuel lines from the plastic bracket near the flexible section. Use a 13mm socket to remove the nut at the top of the transmission bell housing that secures the metal line bracket. Remove the front section of fuel lines from the vehicle. With the front set of lines removed from the vehicle, remove the front nylon vent line from the steel line by depressing the plastic tab. Take note of the order of the fuel lines removed and remove the metal bracket from the front of the fuel lines. Remove the plastic clips from the fuel lines. Position the 3 new LinesToGo front fuel lines in the same order as the ones that were removed. Secure them using the plastic clips removed earlier. Install the original metal bracket removed earlier using a pair of pliers. Install the 2 flexible lines onto the front of the supply and return lines, noting the LinesToGo color-coded connections. Install the 3 new LinesToGo front fuel lines into position in the vehicle. Secure the lines using the existing plastic bracket. Replace the nut at the front of the bell housing using a 13mm socket. Connect the supply and return line quick connections at the fuel rail. Replace the metal locking clips at the front quick connect fittings. Replace the nylon vent line into position and connect the front and rear quick connect fittings. Underneath the vehicle, install the rear section of the LinesToGo return line labeled 313BB into position and secure it into the plastic clips. Next, install a rear section of the LinesToGo vent line labeled 313BC into position and secure it into the plastic clips. Install the fuel filter bracket into position and secure the fuel lines into the rear. Secure the fuel filter bracket using a 13mm socket. Next, install the LinesToGo supply line labeled 375B into position and secure it into the plastic clips. Next, install the rearmost supply line labeled 375C into position and secure it into the plastic clips. Install the supplied fuel filter with the end labeled out towards the front of the vehicle. Insert the 2 supply line threaded fittings into the fuel filter and tighten them using a 16mm and a 13/16 of an inch wrench. Connect the supply and return line quick connect fittings in front of the fuel tank. Install the 3 flexible sections of line that connect the front and rear fuel lines, noting the LinesToGo color-coded connections. Tighten the fittings using a 16mm and a 19mm wrench. Replace the bolts that secure the ABS module using a 13mm socket. Reconnect the transfer case shift linkage. Replace the charcoal canister into position and secure it using a 13mm socket. Reconnect the fittings at the charcoal canister. Connect the vent line quick connect fitting at the rear of the new vent line. Replace the front drive shaft back into position. Tighten the 4 bolts that secure the front of the drive shaft using an 11mm socket. Slide the dust boot onto the output shaft of the transfer case. Replace the plastic engine cover and secure it using an 8mm socket. Reconnect the negative battery terminal using a 5/16 of an inch wrench. This concludes the installation of fuel lines on a 1999 GMC Sierra using LinesToGo part number FL488-L. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions or would like to purchase the lines you saw today, please call us at 1-855-781-5992. Email us at info@linestogo.com or check out our website link below. Don't forget to take advantage of our free next day shipping. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button below, and we will see you in our next video.